This is Kanzenshuu, the podcast, episode 469 for the week of March 17th, 2019. Well, hello, welcome back to Kanzenshuu,
the podcast,
an extension of the all-encompassing Dragon Ball fan site,
Kanzenshuu.
Indeed, sir, we cover anything and everything Dragon Ball in hopes of enlightening it a little bit of entertaining. Hey, it's Julian and Mike again, and man, I made it happen. Well, you and I made it happen. You made it happen. I made it happen. Together, we made it happen. As you were listening to last week's episode, indeed, the first part of the feature was live on the website. You could read and look along with the podcast episode. I was not entirely sure I was gonna get that done, but gosh darn it, it was done. The first part of our Fan Fusion Design Contest. We went back to 1995, gave you part one. Here in this episode now, however, we are diving in to part two of the Fan Fusion Design Contest, jumping ahead from 1995 all the way into the far-flung future past of 2016. Julian, yeah, man, thank you so much for, you jumped right on that. This was the kind of thing where I seemed like I not only got you at the right time, but you had the time, and it seemed like the kind of thing that was up your alley. So we had you doing all the translations thing, and I was doing all the writing and taking all the game screenshots to go along with the article. It was definitely one of those, like, we are the most easily distracted people on the planet when it comes to what our projects are, what we want to do on Kanzenshuu. And This was I saw a shiny penny on the floor and I went over there and I did it. I got it done and I felt pretty good about that. So,
I want to do this project. Oh, look, I want to start this other project. Oh, this is another project I want to do. Let's start all of them and never finish. But we finished this one.
People think there are these like hidden dark secrets of Kanzenshuu and things we're holding back from people. Like, no, this is actually how it goes. I just see something shiny and I get distracted. And yep. That's how it went.
Yep.
So we are back at you again. I don't know if you're going to listen to this the week that we're recording it or the week after. I haven't actually decided yet. It's very likely that I'm going to put this one out ahead of when the second complimentary website article is going up. So this is definitely going to be one of those, we're using the podcast as our outline for what I'm going to write on the website in the future. So that's going to be the entirety of this podcast. We are indeed doing the part two of the Fan Fusion Design Contest, jumping to 2016. If you don't know what we're talking about, go back and listen to podcast episode 468. And we talked about part one, and otherwise you can read along with the entire thing on the website. There's a lot to cover, so I say let's get on into it, because Julian, you're catching a plane to Japan soon.
Yes, in, let's see, 4 days as of right now.
So almost certainly by the time people hear this, you'll actually be over there.
Right. Yep. I'm going to be with my family. My son just graduated from kindergarten, and he's going to be starting elementary school in a few weeks, and I'm going to be there for that momentous occasion, and I got to remember to pack my suit.
Adorable. Well, while I have you, let's get on into it. Fusion Fan Designs Part 2 2016. Let's go. So as a brief recap, 1995, Julian, Weekly Shonen Jump, the Anime J-Wing column, which is in Weekly Shonen Jump. It's the anime-focused little side column they have. They ran their first ever reader participation contest where they had people send in designs for new fusions for Dragon Ball. Winner got the entire 500 Cardass run up till that point. I think the binder was autographed by Toriyama. It was this big deal, and they had a grand prize winner and a whole bunch of runners-up. Great stories in there where the one of the runners-up went on to be a manga author in his own right. It's such a cool story. We got Piridin and Gohanks. It's where all that came from. Variation of Gotan. Great. That was 1995. And at that time, we actually talked a little bit about the Nintendo 3DS game Dragon Ball Fusions, because some of those characters, namely Piridin, showed up again there in the future, in the, like I said, the far-flung past future. But now let's talk about Dragon Ball Fusions itself. Ignoring all that past history, Julian, we had our second Fan Fusion Design contest. And this was not just Weekly Shonen Jump. This was like a multi-magazine extravaganza. Not only the announcement, but the publication. This was we need everyone to buy everything, and that's how we're going to get their money. But Julian, it debuted when Dragon Ball Fusions was first announced, which was in the March 2016 issue of V-Jump, which was released January 21st that year. It actually wasn't even called Dragon Ball Fusions yet. It was just called Project Fusion. But we got some of the early details, some character designs, a little bit of who was going to be in the game. Like, all these realms are going to be fused together. Great. But alongside that, they announced this contest. Very cool. Like right from the start, they got right on into it. So what were some of the details that they just jumped right into?
Yes, so they were talking about not only the fact that there was going to be this game, but that there was they were going to have this project also with Dragon Ball Fusions, the manga, to debut in Saikyo Jump. I don't remember when that debuted.
The first chapter of the manga ended up debuting in the May 2016 issue of Saikyo Jump, which was April 1st there in 2016. So, it wasn't too long after that fact, just a few months.
In fact, they make a big deal about basically that your fusion warrior is going to be in the comic, and we'll return to that later. Even like the version that appeared in Saikyo Jump even says Fusion Senshi Contesto for comic, with an illustration of the main character from that, whose name I've already forgotten.
So the player avatar stand-in is called Tekka, and then the rival / best friend is Pinich.
So it's basically saying you get your chance to have your very own character in the manga.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that, like you said. So this manga was actually going to be taken over by Hiroshi Otogi, who, no longer is doing Dragon Ball Fusions the manga, but is instead doing Despo Fighters in Saikyo Jump. That sure is a manga.
Uh-huh.
Just want to say, this person has continued on to do great things with our Dragon Ball franchise. I'm sure it's not their fault. I guarantee it's not their fault. It is what it is. All right, so we got this game coming out. We got this contest. They're going to do this cool new promotional manga that's going to be starting up soon. Give us some more details about the contest. What did this entail? And I guess we can say they announced it there in V-Jump, but all the magazines got in on this. So Saikyo Jump, like the next respective issue, also talked about the contest. So it was everywhere.
Yeah, it was in Weekly Jump, it was in V-Jump, it was in Saikyo Jump. I suppose they probably avoided putting in things like Young Jump.
Young Jump, yeah.
Yeah, because they probably wouldn't be able to use. Or Ultra Jump, because it would be too weird. But, but anyhow, the rules were basically the same as the ones that they had in the original one back in 1995. So you would, on a postcard or a postcard-sized piece of paper, they said, for some reason, give a drawing of your fused fighter, the names of the characters it was fused from, as well as the fused name.
Very important.
And any explanation along there. They said specifically you could do it in color or black and white without mentioning a preference, and that you had to give your name or a pen name, address, phone number, and send it to the address that they gave, which, as always, is to a postal code starting with 119, which is a special postal code in Tokyo that's used for things like contests with prizes.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yep, along with the little stamp that you have to cut out from the magazine.
Yes, I saw that there.
Depending on which magazine you got the thing out of, you had to note attention that magazine and issue number, Dragon Ball Fusion Warrior Contest, and it had to be postmarked by Friday, the 18th of March.
So what you're saying is you could send in multiple entries, because you could send the corresponding little code, little cutout from a different magazine if you wanted to.
I didn't see anything in the rules. Granted, there's a lot of small,
there is
fine print.
Doesn't say you can't.
It does say only one character per postcard, and that they would choose by lottery from among the entries.
Gotcha.
So it's not specifically things for quality they were looking for, although I'm sure if it was not that great, they might have sort of pushed it aside. Like,
right.
okay, we didn't
they
see
say,
that.
oh, it's the lottery, it's random. No, they're kind of selecting the best of the best. Now, Julian, in the 1995 contest, alongside Toriyama's own design of Piridin, we had this unattributed design, an alternate version of Gotan, and we kind of had like the corresponding thing over here in the 2016 contest.
Yes. So the example that they give for this one is Tsurukame Sennin, which is a play on Tsurukame, which a crane and a tortoise together are a similar sign of good fortune.
Which, of course, is a fusion of the crane hermit and the turtle hermit from Dragon Ball.
Indeed.
It's kind of like crudely drawn, too.
Yes. And they have the pen name of the credited artist be Beat. Because, of course, cross promotion with Dragon Ball Heroes there.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, so Beat being the main hero avatar character from Toyotaro's Dragon Ball Heroes Victory Mission, showing up again, in a couple of weeks' time over here in World Mission.
Yep, and similar to how the Crane Hermit has like the little crane head on the top of his hat, this one has a turtle and a crane at the top, almost like two little horns.
And they ended up using that same example over in Psycho Jump as well. So I was kind of hoping like, oh, maybe the different magazines would show us a different potential fake design to get you inspired. But no, it was the same one over there in Psycho Jump as opposed to V Jump. So, oh well.
Yep, but it's still pretty nice. And it's almost, I mean, it's a given, but it's a kind of a throwback, and that they sort of illustrated it very similarly overall.
Yeah. Now, to my knowledge, Tsurukame Sennin is not a character in Dragon Ball Fusions, which is really unfortunate. So, maybe in a potential sequel, we can see someone like that.
It's a shame. They should have those characters at least so you confuse them and see what happens, even if they're not very powerful.
Yeah, Kame Sennin, he's at Kame House. He's hanging out outside. Yamcha's down there as well. I think Kudidin is standing there on the beach as well. So, like, he's there, but no, he's not a recruitable character. Anyway, so, all right, great. The contest is going. Get your entries in. It's a cross-promotional thing across multiple magazines. And Julian, let's just jump ahead to the results. So we had 3 winning designs that made their way into Dragon Ball Fusions, the video game, as QR code unlockable characters. Now, unfortunately, the QR code functionality was removed from the international versions of the game, which not only stinks for just getting like costumes and extra ways of distributing things, but it actually renders these characters inaccessible through legitimate means in the international versions of the games. And it really stinks for someone like, I know Gohanks, you can come up against him in some of the rifts somewhere, like he's in the game, but you can't unlock him through these methods. And I do want to mention that Gohanks, who we talked about on the part 1 episode of this, is available in the game, is a QR unlockable code, but even though he's one of the 4 QR codes, he's not one of these fan fusion designs. So it's not like, was it Kentaro Yabuki? It's not like his design suddenly showed up again. It just so happened that Gohanks was a QR code, not one of the 3 winning characters. So let's kind of run down the list of the 3 winning characters. They tried to, as close as they could, release these at the same time, but just the way the schedules on the magazines go, where V-Jump is the 21st of every month, Psycho Jump is like the first, I think, weekend-ish of every month, and then obviously Weekly Shonen Jump
every other month.
Every other month, sorry. Well, was it at that time? No, it was every other month already at that point. Yeah, it was already there. And Weekly Shonen Jump is every Monday. So like they did what they could to try and get it as simultaneously as possible. So let's start in V-Jump, which this was the September 2016 issue of V-Jump, which came out that July. So Julian, we really went like in the span of 6 months. We went from announcement to here's your stuff, which is really, really cool. We have Great Satanman, a fusion of Gohan as Great Saiyaman and Mr. Satan.
So the neat thing about this is that the creator of this design, who is one Chihaya Tsuru of Nagano Prefecture, they made this long, typical of Mr. Satan type move called Great Satan Miracle Special Ultra Super Justice Kick. Yes, and it's interesting, actually, if you think about it, the sort of showboating between the two is kind of similar.
Yeah.
So I could see why she would want to fuse these two together, and I think it works pretty well.
I think so too. He's getting along with his father-in-law there, and they decide to, hit the town. I like it.
Yes, indeed.
And the final design is very, very similar to the fan design here. You get the visor on top, which is a cool little nod there. The green underneath, very cool. And then we get the cape and the white pants and the belt there. It's just a great design overall, and very, very faithful to the entry. I like that.
Yes, although I think the original design had a very, very prominent cleft chin.
It sure did.
They
looks
toned
like
down a little bit.
His face.
Oh, that would be Toriyama for you, wouldn't it?
It definitely would. Very, very cool there.
The other note that the author has on here, when he does his signature pose, sometimes he ends up throwing his back out.
Oh, God.
Having thrown my back out before, I could appreciate that sentiment.
I was going to say, I can really empathize with this character. I like him.
Yes.
All right, so then we go on to the second winning design. This came to us in the 2016 number 34 issue of Weekly Shonen Jump, which I believe was released on July 25th. I need to triple check the release date on that issue, but this is Gorus, the fusion of Son Goku and Beerus, the god of destruction.
Yes, so this was by Shun, or potentially Toshi Higashiyama of Kanagawa Prefecture, and it's pretty straightforward. There's little notes on there about the design, but it's mostly just pointing out the attributes of each character that carried through to the fusion itself.
The original design is definitely much taller than the final in-game implementation, where everyone, what's that? We just talked about it when I was talking about Toy Fair, where they're deformed but still like proportioned.
Yeah, so not quite like Dragon Ball SD, but they're sort of shrunken down in size a little bit. They have larger heads and smaller bodies, but not to the same extent as SD.
Like I said, I mean, the design still very, very faithful. I mean, everything that you would expect to be there. He's got the collar, he's got the little flap hanging down in front, and he's got the ears popping up from Goku's spiky hair. And just a good design. And he's a great character to throw in your team pretty early on if you need some really powerful special attacks, let me tell you.
Right.
All right, that takes us to the third winning character. One of my favorites, if you're going to throw a couple characters together, these are some really good ones to throw into the mix. We have Tox, the fusion of Tapion and Future Trunks. Very cool design. This came to us from the September 2016 issue of Psycho Jump, which came out August 5th that year.
Yes, so this is a character made by Yuho Tomiyama of Miyazaki Prefecture. And some of the notes on the original design, which is fully colored in. I think of the three, this is definitely the most artistic looking design.
Oh, yeah. Like we were talking about, was it the Buluchi design, which was extremely well done?
Yes.
I wouldn't say it's at that level, but I mean, this is like full color, like superb color penciling going on here.
Yes, it looks a little bit like a Dragon Quest design almost.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But you've got like a little detail of the belt, close up of the face showing that the eyes are green, and a demonstration of how the sword goes from 1 to 2, how it can fight either way.
This is very imaginative. I love it. The final design is a little bit adjusted, just kind of streamlined. The sash that's hanging down in the front isn't quite as big and flowy as it is in the original entry design here, but it's still there. It's still hanging down a little bit. It's Trunks' hair in Tapion style, like the purple mohawk thing going on. And that's kind of like the only nod to Tapion that you can really do, I suppose.
Well, the sword is something that they share through convoluted movie logic, but
yeah.
But it's kind of like how Toriyama mentions in his Daizenshuu interview, like he enjoyed making the really complex video game designs because he didn't have to worry about people trying to be too faithful to it.
Yeah.
They would simplify it for the game engine out of necessity, so he could sort of go all out. And I think that's kind of what the person who entered this design did here.
Yeah, and their proportions in the original design are very similar to what would be in the final Dragon Ball Fusions game. It's not as tall as the Gorus design was. I think it works pretty well. It's just a very cool character. If you're going to combine, Trunks and Tapion, that's a great choice.
Right.
Now, Julian, great. These three folks, they got their winning designs. They were published in 3 different magazines, V-Jump, Weekly Shonen Jump, Psycho Jump, unlockable as QR codes in the game. So the way the QR unlockable characters worked, you have to get to the 3rd stage level in the game before these characters can actually be a part of your team. Like, you have to advance far enough. But that's great. They're a little bit stronger, significantly stronger than anyone else at that point in the game. So they're great characters to bring along. Really gets you in the fusion mood. That's awesome. Hey, but they were also going to appear in the special manga as well.
Yeah, and about that.
As the only person in America who owns the entire run of Dragon Ball Fusions, the manga, in Psycho Jump, I have looked through it a few times, not just all of the chapters, but also supplemental stuff. I think there's just the one extra chapter in the October 2016 issue of V-Jump. I just looked through that as well. And I also just went and checked the Jump Victory Carnival attendee booklets 2016, 2017. These 3 characters don't appear there either. I don't know what happened.
Your guess is as good as mine. Maybe they just changed plans.
Yeah. I mean, to announce that so early and then not even have that manga start, and then the manga ran for like 11 or 12 chapters. I mean, it ran for a pretty long time. It was a good length series, past the point of the game, still being contemporary.
I think that's partly because the magazine that it ran in is only bi-monthly.
Well,
but
I know. It stinks for everyone that's in there, for sure. But Julian, there are some, I guess you could say, original characters that show up. So this is one of the extra bits of research that you and I are going to do. You'll actually be coming down soon, but I don't know. I kind of want to release the tidbit before then, so I'll probably end up just sending you photos of everything I need you to look at.
Oh, like you always do.
Exactly. The characters that show up, they are named, but they're not these fusion characters. They're like original characters, just like in the actual video game itself, where it's just like, oh, here's a random Namekian, here's a random human, here's a random science, like those kinds of just random characters. It's not Gorus, it's not Tox, and it's not Great Satanman. So I don't know. Something changed along the way. Unfortunately, they didn't get a chance to show up in the manga. But my good sir, the Saibai King, did show up and have his formal print debut in Dragon Ball Fusions, the manga. So I think we can all take some solace in that. So these 3 are, it's kind of a bummer all around where, they got in the game, but they didn't end up in the manga. And then you can't really legitimately play as them in the international editions of the game. So it's like they're known to be out there. And something I haven't had the chance to do yet is kind of like poke around with hacking save states on the American edition of the game. Like, the characters are there, and I have to imagine they're probably fully translated with their profiles and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure there's some videos out there that already have that, so I can probably check those. But something just, they took out the QR code stuff. We over here in America anyway, we really only have This is Weekly Shonen Jump. We don't have that print empire of multiple Shueisha magazines for them to do this kind of thing, to really benefit from spreading the QR codes across all these various releases.
Right.
And that's also the kind of thing that really supports Dragon Ball Heroes, which is why I'm really, really surprised that that's going to be coming out here. But they seem like they're going to make it work. I love this stuff. This is the kind of thing, and I'm so thankful that Dragon Ball Fusions was something I latched onto super early. I truly enjoyed, played through in Japanese, then in English, and I'm replaying again in Japanese right now. And I've been able to live through and acquire all of the print material for this game, as it was contemporary, as it was coming out, with the sole exception of that one Weekly Shonen Jump with Gorus that I didn't pick up, and thankfully we were able to score on an auction to get the primary source on that to include in the article here. I'm glad to document it, somewhat, to use the word for the billionth time, somewhat contemporaneously alongside its original release. This stuff, it's out there, but you start to see broken image links across forum discussions. People hosted things on like PhotoBucket or Imager or something like that. And I'm just happy to, give it a home somewhere. It sounds kind of strange that we keep harping on, it's our duty to do this, but, go look for a raw scan of Gorus. It's pretty difficult. So there we go. Anything else you want to say about these designs? I feel like I'm just so glad that they did it again. It really seems like Dragon Ball Fusions, like I mentioned last time, I really took inspiration from that 1995 contest, and the fact that they did the exact same kind of contest again for that game. I think it really speaks to the people that are in charge of the games now, producing the games now, in charge of the magazines. They've been fans of Dragon Ball this entire time, their childhood into their professional adult lives as well. And they know what the inspirational sources are for this, and they get a chance to do it again and kind of like give back.
Absolutely. It's fun to see this kind of stuff.
So, all right, of the three, we've got Tsudu, we've got Higashiyama, and we've got Tomiyama. Who do you think has the best chance of being a published manga author in the pages of Shueisha in the future?
Oh, I suppose anything's possible. They're really trying to recruit new people with their Shonen Jump Rookie app, where you can upload your own stuff and get the attention of the editorial department. They offer prizes in that vein nowadays, so they're really trying to keep fostering new talent. So who knows?
Well, that's it for this contest. I mean, as opposed to part one where we had, I don't exactly remember, was it like 8 designs, something like that? We really only had the 3 winners here, but there were 3 great ones in the final game. So that's going to be part 2 of the article over on the website when it's ready, which will probably not be by the time you listen to this. So stay tuned. We want to do that final research and skim through Fusions, the manga, to make sure didn't quite miss anything. I'm kind of wondering, did the authors themselves kind of appear as minor characters? Did they give them an out that way? Something like that? I don't really know. So we'll figure that part out. And when it's done, when it's ready, you can read along, check it all out. You can see the designs. I'll, of course, have screenshots from Fusion so you can see what the final implementation looks like there in the game. This is just good, fun stuff. And just to speak about the site a little bit, this is kind of where I envision Kanzenshuu going in the future. Of course, we have the website, or we have the news. We've had the running news since 1998. That's not going anywhere. But as we look to continuing doing that, continuing doing the podcast, what is the wiki going to be? How is that going to work in tandem with the website? When you have a wiki, when you have character guides and even episode guides and home video guides, it'll definitely be a part of the wiki. Where does that leave the website itself? And I think we all kind of envision the website as being more of this curated tour. And this falls in line with plenty of other stuff we've done in the past. Things like the Intended Endings Guide. That's a curated tour of information and translations. And of course, the raw translations themselves is kind of like the bread and butter sitting over there on the sideline on Kanzenshuu as well. So this is the kind of stuff that gets us out of bed in the morning, and where we think we want to take the kind of like the website proper as we look to the future of Kanzenshuu.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to that setup, because I think it will allow also, because we have so many knowledgeable fans whose fields of interest span certain areas that, we're completely oblivious to, that we'll be able to actively gather more information, and that will in turn allow us to have more productive discussions and more useful tidbits about various things in the series. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it benefits everything. I mean, just every single little thing that we've done kind of has been building to this moment, if you want to be over dramatic about it. But everything that you've done, everything that I've done, everything Heath's done, everything Jake has done contributing to the site has built toward, all right, this is what we want to build. This is the base of it. This allows us to then do these other things, which for me has always just been just continuing to learn new things, always be learning, and then just share that with other people. And I think we're in such a good place to be able to do that through the website, through the podcast, through the wiki, as that continues to be built as well. So hopefully you can hear and you get the excitement. It is pouring out of me. Very much excited. All right. Well, that's going to bring that discussion to a close, and the Fusion contest to a close, unless the Fusions 2 is on the horizon anytime soon. I certainly hope it is, but there's a lot of other gaming stuff keeping us busy right now. Obviously, World Mission's coming out. Xenoverse 2 has some exciting things going on for it with a free light version coming out that people can play. That's crazy that here we are in 2019.
Yeah.
Something like that is happening.
They're really milking that game for all it's worth.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they put in their Heroes Light little game in there, the Hero Coliseum, I think it is. Kind of like almost paved the way for like, oh, do we want to do Heroes? Do we really want to do Heroes? And they're doing that. So Heroes, Xenoverse, obviously Fighters still going strong. We're as we sit, a couple days out from the legitimate release of V-Jump, we have hints of what's coming next for Fighters, and who knows what's on the horizon beyond that. We have the CyberConnect 2 action RPG coming at some point theoretically this year, and oh lordy, who knows what video games have in store for us in the future. Hopefully someone somewhere along the way can slot in Fusions 2 for Mike.
It's always a surprise, but you never know.
That's what I want. All right, www.kanzenshuu.com. That is kanzenshuu.com. I have been Mike. We said our names. We didn't necessarily do formal introductions. We don't always really do introductions of who we are. I don't know. I kind of feel like as you approach episode 500, like you're either listening or you're not. We've lost you long before then. But I'm Mike. You may see me around as Vegito EX. I'm one of the people that I guess you could say co-founded Kanzenshuu. I started all the way back in the ancient year of 1998. And this guy over here, I grabbed and said, hey, you want to relaunch the site for the third time with me? And we did
5
that.
years in, which is still ancient history.
Exactly. You and I did that January 2003, and we met some cool friends along the way, and here we are with Kanzenshuu. So, Julian, sir, you have the floor. Wrap things up.
Thank you once again for listening to Kanzenshuu the podcast. Catch you next time.